Could Tina Peters be heading to federal prison?
That convinced me it's not an end run around the prison system. This will be fun.
The Colorado Democrats say, no, she's our political prisoner. Literally out loud at this point. We're going to talk about Trump-backed Tina Peters faces state resistance in transfer request to federal custody. We'll be talking about this hour. David Oleski. Dude, these guys had a huge day yesterday. I got to be in the room.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Special agent in charge for DEA's Rocky Mountain Field Division with Colorado's largest seizure of fentanyl in the state's history. 1.7 million fentanyl pills found at an abandoned storage unit in Highlands Ranch.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
crazy.
this was storage wars on steroids, or fentanyl.
Yeah.
Literally this time. They had
nuts.
picked up this guy as being part of the Sinaloa cartel. Well, and when the dude's in prison, he ain't paying the monthly rent on the storage unit.
Yeah.
So it
up for
goes to auction.
Yeah.
Some rando dude gets it, opens it up, and 1.7 million pills of fentanyl found. They called Douglas County Police. They showed us the video of the Douglas County sheriffs going through it all and basically being like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, a lot of it was. I mean, some was in pill form. Then there was some that was already in powder form, so it wasn't pressed into pills yet.
Right.
Yeah, and it's again easier to transport because you can get a heck of a lot more out of those bricks than you can out of pressing them into pill form. So it's just transportation issues at that point. So that's stuff that's come across illegally and now is going to be later on pressed into pills. Yeah, that was scary. And the thing that surprised me was, that storage facility, facility that had this stuff in it. And then when you see how little stuff is in there, because like Storage Wars, you figure it's like some sort of hoarder, and there's just piles and piles of stuff, and in there it's empty, and you've got some tubs. You've got a few tubs,
right?
But again, the storage facility isn't packed, and they got one of the largest drug seizures ever in America, and the storage little walkway thing there wasn't even packed with pills. I mean, that's the thing that got me was how empty the storage unit was and how much drugs were in there at the same time. It was a weird dichotomy and kind of like shakes you a little bit as far as how easily some of this stuff is trafficked. Yeah.
And how quickly it can be made. They did a little demonstration at the DEA yesterday. 15 days. One machine running 24 hours a day can create this record amount of 1.7 million fentanyl pills in just 15 days. It's very easy. It's very quick. It's the number one killer of Americans between the ages of 18 and 45. So this was a big deal. And so many questions about the Sinaloa cartel and how they're operating. We're going to talk with David Oleski, special agent in charge, DEA's Rocky Mountain Field Division, during the 7 o'clock hour. You're not going to want to miss that. Larry Summers, the first of many fallouts coming from the Epstein file releases. Larry Summers saying he's going to be rolling back all of his public engagements now out of embarrassment, shame that he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein even after the convictions, which is what I think a lot of this is going to go to. We talked about it yesterday of Jeffrey Epstein becoming this like dark matter center of gravity that anybody even associated with him is going to face some challenges as these files are released. So we'll get into that in the 8 o'clock hour. And then Polis, is he the one to blame for the skyrocketing Medicaid costs in the state of Colorado? Great article coming from our friends at Rocky Mountain Voice diving into the laws that he passed as governor that has pushed up the services, the spending in Medicaid, and now the sky is falling. It's once again the Democrats playing both arsonist and firefighter here in Colorado. So lots to talk about. Most importantly, though, we want to get to your phone calls and texts. Give us a call and join the conversation at 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line 720-819-5115. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, 37 and partly cloudy outside. It's beautiful. Get out there and take a walk. Gorgeous in Denver and the surrounding areas. Expecting a high of 61 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
Last Tuesday, November the 11th, our deputies were called to a storage facility in Highlands Ranch.
And that's Douglas County Sheriff Darren Weekly from Jeff's X account. Great coverage by Jeff. The DEA's Rocky Mountain Field Division says it's made the largest seizure of counterfeit pills in the state in the state's history, and the sixth largest single seizure of suspected fentanyl pills in U.S. history. 1.7 million counterfeit fentanyl pills found in a storage facility in Highlands Ranch. Here's DEA's David Oleski.
It is also indicative that the Mexican cartels continue to traffic significant quantities of fentanyl to Colorado.
Man. The drugs discovered by a man who successfully bid on the storage unit only to find the drugs inside. The registered owner of the storage unit was already in custody as a part of an ongoing DEA and CBI case.
To be clear, this reporting party undoubtedly saved countless lives, not only in Douglas County, but throughout Colorado and likely throughout our nation.
Unbelievable. A Denver police officer will not face charges for the deadly August shooting of 48-year-old Javier Nava Carbajal. The Denver DA's office announced that it has finished its review that showed Carbajal resisting arrest and refusing to put down an object in his hand. Denver DA John Walsh said that the shooting was justified because the officer was trying to defend himself and others. The House expected to vote as soon as today on a bill that would compel the release of all of the files related to Epstein, as we've heard this week, starting last week. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince will be at the White House today to meet with 47, and Hannah Khashoggi, the widow of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, says she wants 5 things from the Saudi royal while he's here: her husband's remains, his personal effects, real accountability for his actual killers, the release of all Saudi political prisoners, and what she believes is her rightful compensation as a widow. The journalist was murdered and dismembered, and she believes Mohammed bin Salman, who will be at the White House today, approved it in 2018. The administration is looking at moving FEMA headquarters to Texas and putting the state's top emergency official in charge. The NTSB will release the findings of its investigation into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge. That collapse, they'll come up with the findings today and report those. According to previous reports from the NTSB, the cargo ship Dolly lost power several times before colliding with the bridge in March of 2024, killing 6 construction workers. All right, Stephen Miller time. We got a little Stephen Miller music here. And what we have with Stephen Miller today, setting the record straight last night on Newsmax on the cost of living conditions beginning to improve.
For 4 years, we saw record-setting double-digit inflation upwards of 20%. And now under President Trump, inflation is back down to desired benchmark levels of a little bit over 2%. But to be clear, President Trump is doing more every single day to keep bringing costs down. President Trump is fighting to reduce the cost of energy to historic lows. Did you know that right now, as an example, Americans are spending less of their disposable income on energy because of President Trump's work to open up American energy than at any point in 2 decades? So he's removed all the regulations, opened up drilling, opened up oil, opened up natural gas. He's brought down the price of household goods. He's brought down the price of groceries. He has fought like a warrior to bring costs down.
That's great news. Love to hear that. Nuggets fall to the Bulls 130-127 last night in Lodo. Nikola Jokic, another triple-double in the loss, 36 points, 18 rebounds, 13 assists. He does it every game night. Jamal Murray, 34 points, 11 rebounds. The loss snapped a 7-game win streak for the Nuggets, now 10-3 this season. 34 in Brewfield, 35 in Littleton, 37 in Denver. You are waking up with Jeff and Bill on a Tuesday morning.
Tendons, I can see my tendons down there as they move. And the doctor is fascinated that I only slit the skin.
It's still one of the best. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast. Fair skies starting off Tuesday. Morning temps in the mid-30s with highs Tuesday afternoon, lower 60s under sunny skies. Much less wind, more sun, keeping it dry through midweek with Tuesday night's lows in the low to mid-30s. Wednesday, sunny, lower 60s once again. Thursday, clouds pick up with some showers late day. Thursday night into Friday, rain showers with a little light snow near the foothills. Friday's highs upper 40s. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, Trump administration wants Tina Peters in federal custody. She's in state custody. They're saying, hey, hand her over to the feds. We'll take care of her. And has began the formal notice necessary from the Federal Bureau of Prisons to bring Tina Peters over. President Trump cannot pardon the former Mesa County clerk, who is serving a 9-year prison term on state charges for sneaking fellow election operative and deniers into the Colorado voting system in search of election rigging. President Trump's U.S. pardon attorney, Ed Martin, announced on MAGA strategist, Steve Bannon's show. That's how Channel 9 refers to him, MAGA strategist. It's like mega strategist, just different MAGA strategist. On November 10th, that the administration had put Colorado on notice that the Trump administration wants Peters moved to federal custody. We did it in a way that puts the right kind of pressure on them. Martin said, if the feds say we want something, you change your tune. Dang right. Martin also serves as the director of the Weaponizing Working Group for the Department of Justice. The move marks a formal escalation in a months-long war of words between the Trump administration and elected Democrats in Colorado. Some Republican leaders in Colorado have called for the Trump administration to withhold federal funding from the state until Peters is freed. Governor Jared Polis, a Democrat, as we all know, has been adamant that he will not release Peters due to pressure from the Trump administration. Justice is not for sale, unless you're Kim Kardashian, said Jared Polis. Denver Gazette reporting yesterday that the state is going to fight this. Colorado's Attorney General said he opposes efforts to move former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters from a state prison to a federal one, though he refused to comment on specifics. In a statement to Colorado Politics yesterday, Phil Weiser said there is, quote, no basis, unquote, for a request to transfer Peters, who was convicted in a case tied to security breach in her election office, to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. She was prosecuted and convicted by a jury of her peers for illegally tampering with our election system and violating her duties, said Weiser, who is running for governor and faces U.S. Senator Michael Bennet in the Democratic primary. There's no basis for the Bureau of Prisons to request a transfer of her custody. Any scheme to prevent her from being held accountable under Colorado law is outrageous. I strongly oppose any such efforts. Bill, in classic progressive, at this point, I think it's a like 10 commandment of being progressive.
What is that?
That we are going to let actual criminals have reduced sentences, but when it comes to our political opponents, no, sir, we will prosecute the hell out of you.
Question. Are you defining Tina Peters as a political persecution, or did she do anything wrong?
Oh, sure. I think she did something wrong.
So, okay,
I don't have a problem with that.
Hang on a second. So, wait, no. You said actual criminals. You just admitted she did something wrong. Thank you.
You
Me?
can't somehow see that she's also a political opponent. You're like, no, she's just a criminal. Oh, give me a break, Mr. Thorpe. She's clearly also a political prisoner.
Ah, so you're telling me that the Republican DA in a Republican county with a jury stacked of Republicans.
Do you know that they're Republicans?
Here's the idea. Because hang on a sec.
So you're just making things up.
Hang on. I do know the DA is Republican, right? So where's the political?
You said a jury stacked of Republicans, Mr. Thorpe.
Yep, you're right. I'm absolutely making an assumption, but guess what? Based on how the county is made up, I am going to assume they are a majority Republicans because there's a majority of Republicans in the county. Until proven wrong, I'm going to go with the majority. Because if I pulled a random bunch of marbles out of a bag and most of them are red and there are some blue ones inside, over time, I'm going to get more red ones. So yes, I'm making an assumption, but it's a safe assumption. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong, and I will say, no, it was all Democrats. But here's what you need. You need to convince me it's a political persecution based on the Republican district attorney. And Tina was convicted for doing things wrong. You're mad about the sentence, but here you're saying you're saying we did the actual criminals. Actual criminals, she did criminal stuff. And she deserves to be behind bars. The biggest question in this entire thing, is what reason is there to transfer her to federal prison?
Because
what
she's being politically punished.
No, she's being punished based on the crimes that she did here. Yes.
And Colorado does that. They punish based upon crimes, like you said.
Hang on a sec.
Right?
Hang on. You're looking for a black and white universal. Different judges, different districts. Enforce the law differently.
How about same governor?
Did the governor prosecute?
4 people.
Did the governor prosecute Tina?
Kill 4 people.
Did the governor prosecute Tina, Jeff?
Oh, of course he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No,
he was
didn't. Show
absolutely
that.
involved with
Prove
this.
that. Go right ahead. Prove it.
You think that the top elected official had nothing to do with the prosecution of Tina Peters? You think his hands are completely free? He never sent an email. He never talked to Phil Weiser. He never was involved in any of that at all.
This was done in Mesa County. Until you can show me.
Which happens to be in what state, Bill?
Hang on. Until you can show me the governor went to Mesa County and did these things, of which would be available through.
There?
Oh, FOIA request. I know. How difficult. I'm not just going to assume stuff happened because of politics. I'm going to look for stuff.
Bill, you just assumed what the makeup of the jury was.
Yeah, and I said based on what was there.
Bill,
You're making, you're making an assumption based on political prosecution, based on nothing. I'm making an assumption based on the makeup of the jury, based on
Based on
demographics.
nothing.
No, based on demographics.
Excuse me, can I finish my sentence
No,
here?
based on demographics. Hang on, based on demographics in the county. That's why I'm making that assumption. Continue.
So I have your permission to continue now?
I was finishing why I was making the assumption. You were disagreeing with me based on the assumption. So I was telling you why I was making the assumption in case we missed it earlier.
The same governor who was happy to commute a 100+ year sentence of a truck driver who killed 4 people commuted the sentence length to roughly the same sentence length as Tina Peters. Took a call from Kim Kardashian, stepped in and said, 100+ years for the murder of 4 people as a result of reckless truck driving? I'm going to commute that to the same length as Tina Peters is serving. When given the same opportunity to commute Tina Peters' sentence, where nobody died, Jared Polis decides to keep it the same length. This is clear evidence of what I always say about progressives, is that criminals, people that actually harm other people, like rape children, get probation or have their sentences commuted. But when you're a political opponent, like Tina Peters was, to the Democrat establishment, no, you will fulfill the entirety of your sentence, even if you're a 70-year-old Gold Star mother. This is so clearly a political prosecution. I don't know what else to stand on.
Yeah, other than the fact that it was Republican in a Republican county that convicted her. Sorry. That just doesn't hold. I mean, you can say all you want that you think the Democrats were in charge in Mesa County. This doesn't work. I mean, that's just a pipe
Why
dream.
won't he commute her sentence?
Oh, so you're looking for equity. You're looking for the equity. Okay. So you're talking about, can you then, if we're going to talk about equity, then we need to talk about Donald Trump's pardons. Because if we're talking about holding people responsible, that would be a question.
Why won't
That's
Jared Polis commute her sentence?
I don't know. I'm not Jared Polis. But again, you're talking about that Donald Trump wants her transferred to a federal prison for what possible reason? To do what? To possibly commute her sentence and let her out? Is that it? Is that the goal? Is that what you're looking at? So you want to get Donald Trump to reduce her
treatment
to reduce. How
place.
do you know that she's not being treated well? What indication do we have on
filings?
That? Oh yeah, okay. That she's not getting what is she not being treated well? What is she not?
She's,
not have access to her
suffering.
Zoom?
What? No, because she's
Yes,
suffering from health problems. Why
Okay.
did Jared Polis commute the sentence of a man who killed 4 Coloradans to roughly the same amount of time that Tina Peters? Do you believe that their crimes are equally heinous?
No, I don't, and I would not have done that, but I'm not Jared Polis, nor am I the governor, nor do I have to sit here and defend it. Nor is because that sentence was commuted, does it mean that Tina Peters gets to go free. That's just not how things work. Because, I mean, we could go through a long list of pardons that Donald Trump has handed out. Look at George Santos. I mean, that's talking about identity theft and fraud. So now does it mean, since he got pardoned, does that mean everybody who commits identity theft and fraud should be pardoned? It's not equal, is it? If anybody that's been held in prison right now for identity theft and fraud is still behind bars, that's not necessarily equal, is it? No. But that's not how the system works. Talk to Michelle Fiore, the Nevada elected official that stole money. It was a charity that was raising money for a fallen officer in Nevada. She stole the money and used it on plastic surgery. Donald Trump has pardoned her and released her of all her financial obligations. Again, if we're looking for equality and equity in this, then you got a lot of stuff to defend on Donald Trump's side. I'm not defending what Jared Polis did, nor do I say it's okay, nor do I have to defend it, and I don't have to defend it in comparison to Tina Peters. Tina Peters still needs to be held in prison. I wouldn't have her in there for 9 years, but I also don't think you transfer her to federal prison as an end run around Colorado law. I don't think you do that.
Bill, that was wonderful obfuscation from
I answered your question.
The thing you continue to ignore.
I answered your question.
Why is Jared Polis letting violent criminals out early, but Tina Peters, a political opponent, has to fulfill the entirety of her sentence? Why?
I don't have to answer.
Jeff, why? You won't answer.
Jeff,
you won't answer because you can't accept the truth.
No, Jeff, hang on a sec. I'm not agreeing with what you say is true. I'm not agreeing with you on this. I've answered your question. No. And yes, I have.
The Jeff, answer is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Hang on. Listen,
but Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. I'll go through this slowly again. I don't know why Jared Polis commuted that sentence. I disagree with it. I would not have done it if it was me. I think it's wrong. However, because he commuted the sentence doesn't mean I think Tina Peters needs to be let out.
Why does Tina Peters need to fulfill 9-year sentence?
I think her sentence is too long, but that would be something we can go through and look for the courts. But I'm not willing to give the president power over a state crime in order to act like a king to remove people that he thinks were mistreated. There's a process, and again, this is in Mesa County, a dominant Republican county with a Republican DA. She was found guilty by a jury of her peers. That's it. Full stop.
I mean, Bill, you've done nothing but confirm exactly what I believe progressives do, which is allow actual violent people out, and then you prosecute the hell out of your political opponents. Like you just found guilty by a set of his peers or her peers.
Yes, that's true.
And must fulfill the judgment that's been levied against her. Meanwhile, Colorado lets child rapists out on probation.
Again.
Meanwhile, you drive a truck into 4 people and kill them, you get 9 years. I mean, it's just you sat there and you gave a passionate plea as to why she deserves to be prosecuted, why she deserves to fulfill her sentence, and then, well, you know, we're the number 2 most dangerous state in the nation, which I've never really heard you say that all these other people that are creating problems must be prosecuted with the same passionate defense you just gave for Tina Peters.
I think all those people doing crimes should be prosecuted.
Except for illegal immigrants.
No, I've said that's true too. They should be prosecuted.
No, Bill, you said that only if you commit murder or rape or some other crime
now who's obfuscating?
Should you be
obfuscating? Now who's obfuscating? That'd be you.
No, I'm pointing out.
No,
Bill,
you're not.
No. With real criminals.
No, because you didn't like my answer, because my answer doesn't fit with what your predetermined conclusions
are. You provided a hell of a defense for the prosecution of Tina Peters.
She was guilty of the crimes and was found guilty. She did what they said she did. They had the proof. She's guilty. She did the crimes. It wasn't a political persecution, as you're saying. It was Republicans in a Republican district with a jury that found her guilty. A jury, I think we can assume, would be dominated by Republicans based on voter registration. It would be highly unlikely to have a bunch of Democrats on the jury, and given that Tina Peters was involved in picking her own jury, I have a hard time thinking she'd load it with Democrats. Hard time thinking she'd agree to that. So I think we can assume that it was more representative of what the district looks like. She was found guilty. I don't think she should have been convicted for 9 years. Okay. But I don't think that means she gets to walk free. I would not have done what Jared Polis did based on the truck driver. That's okay. I'm not governor. And what he did on the truck driver doesn't justify letting Tina out. It just doesn't. And what it also doesn't do is justify her getting moved to federal prison. Let's go back to that. Why would you transfer her to federal prison if not to do an end run around the Colorado judicial system? What other reason would there possibly be to transfer to federal custody?
I think that's exactly why they want to do it.
Oh, okay.
I think that's exactly why they want to do it. And it's in part because you have a governor that's willing to commute sentences against people who actually took the lives of other people, roughly to the same amount of time as they have Tina Peters. Now, I think you could go and make the argument that this gets the cost of Tina Peters off the off the taxpayers of Colorado.
So you're making an economic argument.
Why
and
not?
Again, I'm not going to buy into the idea that the truck driver is so horrible, given the fact that Donald Trump has pardoned Ross Ulbricht and Changpeng Zhao. I'm not going to play that game as far as who's worse. Those two individuals are far worse as far as the world than the truck driver. What the truck driver did was absolutely abhorrent and horrible. But the dude that started Silk Road, that was an underground black market for drugs, and the guy that started Binance, that actually funneled money to terrorist activities, yeah, I'm going to rank them a little bit higher. Yet they got pardoned. So if we're talking about equity and holding people accountable and responsible for things they did, I'm going to put those two guys higher on the list. Now, do I sit here and go, no, and what are they doing? No. But when we're talking about equity, I'll bring them up. When we're talking about treating people equally, I'm going to bring them up. I'm going to bring up George Santos. I'm going to bring up Michelle Fiore. Yes. And they're pardoned. So why are we moving Tina? Again, it's just a partner. It's just to get her out. It's an end run around the judicial system. The party of law and order is trying to free someone they like. That's all it is. It's doing favors for your political friends. That's it. She did what they said she did. They convicted her with a jury that she helped pick in a courtroom in Mesa County. They didn't take it to Denver, didn't take it to Boulder, didn't get a bunch of Democrats on a Boulder jury, didn't have a liberal prosecutor, wasn't Phil Weiser, was the Republican in the Republican county with a jury of her peers, and they found her guilty.
All right, join the conversation. In my mind, as I've laid out, and I think the evidence is very clear, Jared Polis, Phil Weiser, constantly, repeatedly, over and over and over again, let violent criminals that harm Coloradans directly out. They have cashless bail. They will commute sentences. They'll take calls from Kim Kardashian. They will adjust sentences for people that actually directly harm Coloradans, physically harm them. And if you're Tina Peters, you will fulfill the fullness of your sentence, even if there are complaints and concerns and questions about how you're being treated. That does not matter. You are a political opponent. You will fulfill the entirety of your service in your punishment. It is like a commandment for progressives. I mean, we have this debate all the time about illegal immigrants. You have to be a really bad illegal immigrant to actually go to jail. But if you just break our immigration laws, well, that's like a speeding ticket. Oh, no. But if you're Tina Peters, 9 years. 9 years, Tina Peters. And I think Donald Trump is exactly right to step into this injustice, even if you think what Tina Peters did was wrong, which I do. 9 years of a sentence served while illegal immigrants get health care, education, 6 months of apartment living in Colorado, goes to show you exactly how the leftists operate. All right, we'll continue. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's talk Gyrie's. We had a great experience with the Gyrie's in Parker. Absolutely fantastic experience. We sat down with their professional designers, and they showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. Look, I was a little overwhelmed at first. I'm not an interior design pro. I needed help. My wife had lots of questions, but our professional designer walked us through everything and helped us find the perfect options to enhance the look and functionality of our space. So whether your curtains are clashing or you just want a fresh look, Gyrie's has the solutions. Their designers are the experts, and they'll help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor. Here's the best part. They offer a personalized in-home consultation. They'll come to you, so you can get the same expert advice right in your own home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit Gyrie's.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's Gyrie's, Guirys.com, Guirys.com. Go see the great people at Gyrie's. You'll be sure to thank me. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We've got more coffee, so expect it to get even hotter in here. Donald Trump wants Tina Peters in federal prison. Jared Polis and Phil Weiser saying absolutely not. So please help me understand, in the state of Colorado, if you show up as an illegal immigrant, the city of Denver will give you 6 months of apartment living. The state will cover your health care. They'll cover your education. If you rape a child, you'll get out on probation. If you slam a semi-truck into 12 cars and kill 4 people, your sentence will be commuted to 1/10 of what the jury said. But if you're Tina Peters, you need to fulfill the entirety of your sentence, which requires 9 years of incarceration. How that is not a political prisoner.
I don't see how she then is a political prisoner. Unless you're changing mandatory sentence laws and you want only one person in charge of all sentencing throughout the state or the country. We have different districts and different judges, and they have variability based on guidelines in sentencing. It is not a one-size-fits-all, but if you want a one-size-fits-all, you do that through the legislature. You do it that way, and that's how it would have to go. Rather than inventing a conspiracy theory about Tina being politically prosecuted by a bunch of Republicans and then sentenced. Yeah. Still, no one's shown me, other than an end run around Colorado sentencing laws in order to free Tina, why you'd want to transfer her to the federal system. There's no other reason that I can find to transfer to the federal system other than we just want to let her out. And if that's okay, then that means, okay, we can have a president in the future that decides any state prosecution is not good or politically motivated, and then can just transfer him to feds. Because again, if this happens, Donald Trump and the Trump administration doesn't have to prove anything. They don't have to prove it was a political prosecution. They don't have to show up with any sort of a memo or a text message or nothing. They can just do it. And so you're saying in the future, all presidents should have the power to just decide some state crime was a political prosecution, and we can move him to Fed prison and then let him out. Yay! And this is coming from the party of law and order. Right. That's the bigger problem in this. That's the bigger problem. Is that you guys just don't want to have Tina held responsible for what she did.
That's
okay.
The biggest problem.
Yeah, it is. A party of law and order.
Not a state that pretty much commutes the punishment of everybody. Whether you're an illegal immigrant, you slam a truck into 12 cars and kill 4 people, you rape a child, we'll let you out on probation. We have no cash bail. They bend over backwards to ensure that you don't have to pay the fullness of the penalty handed down unless you're Tina Peters. Now we have to set a standard. Now we have to draw the line. And we're going to make sure you fulfill the entirety of your punishment.
We don't know that. She could still have her sentence commuted. She could still get parole. She has those options inside the system.
We don't see any of that, actually.
No, but she has those options inside of the system, and that can still happen in the future. So we don't know. You're making an assumption about the state saying she has to fulfill each and every single possible date.
I can't see everything into the future.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying it's a possibility. Well, I'm saying it's a possibility.
Okay.
I'm saying it's a possibility.
Of course it is, but it's not taking place right now. And my goodness, you have actual examples of people that have raped children and have been let out.
Yeah, then let's change the laws. I'm all for that. You don't have any argument for me. I've never argued in favor of the child rapist and they should be out on the street. No, not at all.
Bill,
never
I'm not saying you do, but Colorado Democrats have. Because Brandy Bradley actually brought forth a law along with another Democrat to try to change this, and the Colorado Democrats said, and part of their reason and their excuse was, well, what about the criminals? Is it fair to put these criminals away for so long? That was their excuse.
Yeah.
But you don't at all see that type of concern around Tina Peters.
It's unfortunate that Tina wasn't, according to you, it's unfortunate she wasn't convicted in a Democrat area, because then maybe they'd be all super, super lenient and just giving her a sandwich and a pat on the head and said, don't do it again. Unfortunately, she got in the Republican place. Yeah, the Republican district with the Republican DA and a lot of Republican voters. which probably meant Republican jury, that she helped pick. A jury she helped pick of her peers. That's it.
That's not it.
Yeah, that is.
The other
It's her.
is it Jared Polis, who has examples of commuting heinous crimes where people died, is refusing to commute this and fighting the president over turning over these people to federal custody. I mean, it would be off the finances.
Why would you
state.
turn? But what would
And
be
in
the
fact,
reason to turn
Bill,
Tina
I
over?
think
What would be the
how
reason
many
to turn
did we have?
Tina over?
One? No, we had two. We had two special sessions over some of the financial challenges that the state is facing. So, in the midst of all of those, with direct evidence of committing heinous crimes where people died because Kim Kardashian called Jared Polis not going to commute this because, oh yeah, it's a political opponent. That, or maybe he just really likes prosecuting 70-year-old Gold Star women.
Well, he didn't prosecute anybody. He didn't prosecute
in this
anybody.
case,
Nor did Weiser.
it's
They weren't on the
the
case.
it's the fact that it's a political opponent, right?
Yeah, but
'Cause
Jared and
why
Weiser
would
weren't on the
you-
case. They weren't on the case. They didn't prosecute anybody. Again,
But
they can make different. I don't agree. I don't agree with
Jared wasn't on the
Jared's.
case of the truck driver crashing into people either, and took the time to commute that sentence. Called it a grave injustice.
Yeah, but I know, but you're saying that somehow Jared's responsible for a political prosecution of Tina Peters. Now, I agree that he should not have pardoned the truck driver, but again, that's different than Tina Peters. And change the rules, change the laws. That's it. But there's absolutely zero reason to move her into federal prison. And if you're advocating for her to move to federal prison because then the president would have the ability to let her out, that means any future president, you should agree to take any state criminal and bring them to federal prison and then let them out, which basically means state judicial system doesn't matter at all. Now, the one thing the president is prevented to do inside of the Constitution is to pardon state crimes. He's trying to find a way around it. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying desperately to find a way around what the Constitution doesn't allow him to do. That's the goal here.
No, the goal is to right an injustice that's taking place. Text message 3822. Right on, Jeff. Tina Peters, most certainly a political prisoner. I'm insulted Governor Polis using my tax dollars to coddle illegals, but also to sue President Trump. How can a progressive such as Bill criticize Trump for his pardons without mentioning Biden's auto pen pardons?
Yeah, I don't apply the IdoPen game with me personally, because I'm going to ask you about the pardon of Changing Pao, and that's the guy that ran Binance. On 60 Minutes, when asked directly about why that guy was pardoned, Donald Trump said he had no idea who he was. So before you play AutoPen games with me about Biden didn't know who the pardons was, we have on tape on 60 Minutes Donald Trump admitting he has no idea who this dude is that he pardoned. And this is a guy who, strangely enough, had billions of dollars of investments recently into Trump's cryptocurrency run by his family. And this is also a guy who ran a program that allowed people through cryptocurrency to fund terrorism and kidnappings and human trafficking and stuff like that. That's the dude that was pardoned. And then Trump says he has no idea who he is. Not playing the AutoPen game anymore. That ship sailed. That ship sailed.
How many AutoPen pardons do we have? Wasn't it a record number under Biden?
Again, when Donald Trump publicly announces he has no idea who this dude is,
so one
pardoned
versus 1,000, 2,000, something like that. Okay, we'll continue. We got You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Producer John Corbliss wondering where the curse words were. Clearly, we're not East Coast enough.
Yeah, clearly not. I bet we said some in our heads, though.
All right, Bill, take us into some moments of levity with You Choose the News.
Yes, it's that time of the morning where you get to play everybody's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. Yes, you know how this works. I scour the interwebs for mere moments this morning to find really ridiculous stories about us humans and then give them even more ridiculous headlines so that we can play this fake radio news game show. Why, oh, why would we do this much frivolity this early in the morning? Is because those in charge do not arise until 7. So as always, we bring Blake Olson in from the news department to play this game with us. Here are our headlines, gentlemen. Headline number 1, cold as ice. Headline number 2, your best side. Headline number 3, I said, do you speak in my language? And headline number 4, a warning to the heavens. Mr. Hunt, your choice, sir.
A warning to the heavens, please.
Yes, so warning to the heavens. This comes to us from Megadeth leader Dave Mustaine. Shout out to fans of Symphony of Destruction. That's where that line comes from, a warning to the heavens. He has set a particularly high bar when it comes to setting the scene for his ideal final show with the band. They have confirmed their 17th studio album is imminent, and this final tour will be their last. And he recently sat down with the guys at Metal Hammer and says, wouldn't it be cool if our final concert was in space? He said he think that'd be a very fitting climax. I'm not talking about, rocking on the side of a vomit comet or some sort of gig on the moon. I'd love to just have some sort of giant, concert that would happen sometime in space. He's referring to the idea that pop stars Katy Perry and Star Trek legend William Shatner, along with Virgin billionaire Richard Branson, all having made trips into space in recent years. He said, hey, they're sending up a bunch of celebrities. Why can't they send up a rock band? So, not a bad idea. I think we could send Megadeth up there. Yeah, I know. All right, Blake, your turn, sir. Cold as ice, your best side, or I said, do you speak in my language?
I said you speak in my language.
Yes, I said, do you speak in my language? That's for our Men at Work fans, yes. All over the 80s, a bunch of Americans said, what in the hell is Vegemite? And then said, oh, that's awful. Here we find ourselves in Melbourne, Australia. A prisoner is challenging the Australian state ban on inmates eating Vegemite. It's claiming in a court suit that without the yeast-based spread, it breaches his human right to enjoy his culture as an Australian. The 54-year-old is serving a life sentence for murder, but he took his battle for the salty, sticky brown byproduct of brewing beer to the Supreme Court of Victoria recently. Now, most Australians will tell you that Vegemite is unfairly maligned. More than 80% of Australian households are estimated to have a jar in their pantries, and all of us want to know why in the hell they do that. Inmates in all 12 prisons in Victoria are going without Vegemite because it's been banned from prison since 2006 because it interferes with narcotic detection dogs. Inmates would smear the drugs with Vegemite so the odor would distract the dogs and would hide it. Vegemite also contains yeast, which is banned from the prisons because it has a potential to be used in the production of alcohol. But this guy who killed someone once says it's a human right. Yeah, I know. It's a lot of fun.
It is a human right.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea. Okay, Jeff, final choice this morning, sir. Cold as ice or your best side?
Your best side, please.
Your best side, or should we say your breast side? Here we find ourselves in Singapore. For about 3 years, a photographer at the National Dental Center of Singapore shot more than 600 voyeuristic photos of patients. The 29-year-old pleaded guilty this week to 9 charges, including voyeurism, distributing voyeuristic images, unauthorized computer access, and other 21 charges are going to be considered at sentencing. The guy's primary role was to take photos of teeth and jaws for patients who were scheduled for jaw surgery. Well, he decided to, go a little rogue. What would happen is he would be stationed in a room. He would call the patient in after receiving a request. He would confirm their identity and then take pictures of their jaw and their facial region. And now he was supposed to bring in a woman if any females were being pictured, and they're also supposed to put a blue board to cover their chest. He did neither. In fact, taking a few extra shots down blouse. And then would also research the girls' names and then figure out who they are based on patient records. So super creepy. Yeah, he's going to prison for it. All right, that's the end of You Choose the News. Jeff, back to you.
Guaranteed for less time than Tina Peters. We're going to continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader. We are KNUS.